Parvati Shallow just set herself up to be the greatest Survivor player in the history of the world. Spoiler alert for Survivor Australia versus the World, episode number 7, where Parvati Shallow just had her greatest episode of all time and pulled off one of the best escapes in the history of this entire show, all across the spinning globe of ours. For some, it's been years since Parvati Shallow was in the discussion for the greatest player of all time, since Winners at War gave us our second two-time winner with a dominant game from Tony. Usually that debate is it Sandra or is it Tony? But sometimes it takes one move to put the conversation back on yourself, and that's exactly what Parvati did in not one, but 2 tribal councils in arguably the greatest episode of Australian Survivor we've ever had. The Finnish wolf, Tommy, just won his second individual immunity. The world tribe is cohesive. The Aussies are in the minority and have nowhere to turn. All eyes are on them. And that's when Tommy decides, now is the time for me to stake my claim, dethrone the arguably greatest duo in the history of this game, and take out the queen of deception, Parvati Shallow herself. Often in these games, it's the last people you speak to that ultimately drive the biggest moves. That's what Tommy was going for. However, the Aussies didn't buy it because no one talked to them all day. That's why Lisa said, I'm going to tell you this plan, but then I'm not going to make the vote myself to save my own ass. But that only flies if you have the trust of the players you're making the move with. And in this case, Lisa didn't. And that set up the most electric tribal council of this electric season. We finally get to a vote, and the votes are going to be read. Now it's time to play an idol. And this is when the most important moment of the season happened.
This offers me an opportunity to seize power by making another player's hidden immunity idol your own.
Parvati weaponized her idol and her advantage for information, the most important asset in the game of Survivor. With that move and the way the move was executed, if Parvati is anywhere near those final chairs, she is the greatest to ever play the game of Survivor. But the debate is already on. Does Parvati even need a victory at this point to secure her place as the greatest Survivor player in the history of the world? Let me know in the comments, and stay tuned for even more insight on Survivor Australia versus the World, and of course, Survivor 49 and 50 coming up as well.